You think women melt for clever lines, perfect timing, and rehearsed charm. But the truth is, what moves a woman deeply is not the polished performance of a man trying to impress her. It's the grounded presence of a man who is no longer trying to sell himself. You think attraction is built by saying more. Most of the time, it is built by meaning what you say. Listen carefully, because this is where most men lose before they ever begin. They study tricks. They memorize texts. They borrow swagger from men who are empty underneath it. They try to sound smooth, mysterious, unavailable, dominant, whatever the trend is this week. And the whole time, what they are really saying beneath all of it is, please pick me. Please approve of me. Please let my worth survive this interaction. A woman can feel that. She may not say it. She may not even consciously name it, but she feels it. And if you need reminders like this, real reminders, not comfort dressed up as advice, subscribe now, because you do not need more noise. You need truth repeated until it becomes how you speak, how you move, and how you carry yourself when the moment matters. Here's what it really means to say something that makes a woman melt. It does not mean manipulation. It does not mean hypnosis. It does not mean finding magic words that override her judgment. It means speaking from such calm self-respect, such clarity, such emotional steadiness that your words land with weight because they are backed by character. That is the thesis. The phrases are not powerful because of vocabulary. They are powerful because of the man behind them, and that is exactly what most men never understand. The misconception is simple. You think women are waiting to be dazzled. The hard truth is, most women are starving to feel safe with a man who is real, not safe because he is weak, safe because he is solid. Not safe because he agrees with everything, safe because he is honest, not safe because he worships her. Safe because he does not need to manipulate, inflate, chase, or perform. That kind of man is rare now. Rare. Because too many men have been trained to confuse intensity with depth, attention with value, and attraction with validation. Why does this happen? Because most men do not speak from center. They speak from fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of not being enough. Fear of losing the moment. So they overtalk. They oversell. They flirt without substance. They compliment without precision. They promise what they have not lived. They lean forward before they know who they are leaning toward. That's called emotional desperation, wearing cologne. And no matter how polished it sounds, it still leaks. She can feel the need underneath it. She can feel when your words are reaching for a result instead of expressing a standard. And the cost is brutal. You stop speaking truth and start speaking strategy. You stop being present and start managing impressions. You stop listening and start calculating. You stop leading yourself and start reacting to her tone, her mood, her energy, her smile, her delay, her approval. You become a puppet of the outcome. That cost is too high because once your words are controlled by your fear of losing her, you are no longer speaking like a man. You are negotiating for permission to feel worthy. So reframe it. The phrases that truly move a woman are not the ones that make you look impressive. They are the ones that reveal emotional maturity, boundaries, calm desire, and self-respect. They melt her not because they are seductive in a cheap sense, but because they are rare evidence of a man who is internally organized, a man who is not at war with himself, a man whose attention means something because he does not hand it out like candy to get liked. Now let's go deeper. The first phrase is this: I'm interested in you, but I don't rush what matters. Do you hear the difference? Not cold, not overeager, not vague, clear, grounded, honest. That line hits because it tells her two things at once. You feel desire, but desire does not control you. You can want without lunging. You can feel without spilling. You are not trying to drag the connection forward just to soothe your own impatience. And that is attractive because restraint is attractive. A man who can delay impulse is a man who can be trusted with deeper things. The second phrase is this: you don't have to impress me, just be real with me. Most men accidentally create pressure because they are performing so hard that she feels she has to perform too. But when you say this from a calm place, not a needy one, you invite honesty over theater. You lower the temperature of the game and raise the standard of the connection. That melts defenses. Because in a world full of posturing, filters, curated identities, and emotional cosplay, reality feels intimate. Reality feels rare. Reality feels like relief. The third phrase is this: I like your beauty, but what I'm paying attention to is your character. Now understand this. If you say that like a line, it dies. If you say it because you actually live that way, it lands hard. Why? Because most women are used to being noticed for what is easy to see. Very few are deeply seen for what is difficult to fake. When a woman realizes you are not hypnotized by the surface, that you are not just another man reacting to packaging, something shifts. You separate yourself from boys who consume appearances and enter the category of men who evaluate substance. That does not just flatter her. It challenges her to show up as more than a face. And women do not melt for attention alone. They melt for meaningful attention. The fourth phrase is this: if it's real, it won't need games. That line carries force because it exposes what weak men tolerate. Delay tactics, half-truths, hot and cold energy, strategic confusion, breadcrumbs, ambiguity marketed as mystery. When you say this with composure, you communicate that you do not build connection inside nonsense. You are not here to decode mixed signals like a desperate intern. You are here for clarity, for mutuality, for grown energy. And whether she rises to meet that or not, you remain intact. That is power, not loud power, quiet power. The kind that never needs to shout because it already knows what it accepts and what it does not. The fifth phrase is this: I respect your space, but I also respect my standards. That right there is where many men fail. They hear boundaries and think it means passivity. They hear patience and turn it into self-erasure. No, respecting her space does not mean abandoning yourself in the waiting room of her uncertainty. It means you can give room without giving up your self-respect. This phrase melts the right woman because it shows emotional balance. You are not controlling, you are not clingy, you are not punishing, but you are also not available for endless ambiguity. That is maturity. That is steadiness. That is a man who knows the line between compassion and self-betrayal. The sixth phrase is this: I don't need perfection. I need honesty. Read that slowly. That sentence has gravity because it cuts through the fake standard everyone pretends to want. Perfection is impossible. Honesty is sacred. A woman who hears that from a grounded man hears relief. She hears room to be human. She hears a standard that matters. She hears that you are not collecting polished performances. You are looking for truth. And truth creates safety. Not comfort, safety. There is a difference. Comfort lets you hide. Safety lets you be seen. The seventh phrase is this: I can care about you deeply and still walk away from what disrespects my peace. That is not cruelty. That is self-command. That is the sentence weak men are terrified to say because they think boundaries kill attraction. No. Petty boundaries kill connection. Mature boundaries protect it. This phrase melts a woman because it reveals a man who is capable of love without self-loss. You are not threatening. You are not posturing. You are not trying to scare her into compliance. You are simply telling the truth. Your care is real, but your standards are real too. And if a man cannot walk away from what diminishes him, then everything he offers is contaminated by need. Do you see the pattern? None of these phrases beg. None of them posture. None of them perform dominance like a teenager in a rented suit. They are calm, direct, clean. They are built on a frame most men do not have. That frame says, I value connection, but not at the expense of myself. And that is what makes the words powerful. Now picture the man who can actually say these things and mean them. He is not frantic. He does not lean forward too soon. He does not build fantasies from chemistry. He does not turn every conversation into an audition. He listens fully. He speaks slowly. He notices details. He does not chase the high of being wanted. He evaluates. He chooses. He has purpose outside the interaction, and you can feel it. His life has weight. His time has structure. His energy has direction. He can laugh. He can flirt. He can desire. But underneath all of it, there is steel. There is calm. There is self-respect. He does not need the room to approve of him. He changes the room by entering it whole. That man is rare because most men are scattered. They are overexposed, overstimulated, oversexualized, underdisciplined. They call lust connection. They call obsession passion. They call anxiety chemistry. They call chasing romance. No, that's confusion. That's undirected masculine energy. And women can feel the difference between a man who wants a woman and a man who needs one to stabilize his identity. One is attractive, the other is exhausting. So, what do you do with this? First, stop hunting for lines and start building the inner position those lines come from. Stop asking, what should I say to make her feel something? Start asking, who do I need to become so my words carry weight? That is the real work. Because if your inner life is chaotic, no phrase will save you. If your self-respect is weak, every sentence will sound like disguised pleading. If your life has no mission, your attention will be too cheap. Build that first. Second, slow your speech down. Men who are trying to impress speak too fast, explain too much, and reveal too little substance. Do not rush to fill silence. Let silence work for you. Presence versus noise. Weight versus volume. Real men do not vomit words because they are nervous about losing the moment. They let the moment breathe. They trust their center. Third, mean less, but mean it fully. Stop complimenting every visible thing. Stop handing out attraction like a sales flyer. When you speak, let it be precise, specific, observed, earned. You're beautiful is easy, cheap if overused. You carry yourself with calm, and that tells me more than your looks ever could is different. Why? Because it shows discernment. It shows attention. It shows standards. Fourth, remove the hunger for immediate outcome. This is where most men collapse. They say the right thing, then immediately look for proof that it worked. Her expression, her reply, her tone, her text speed, her body language. Stop. The second you need instant validation from the phrase, the power drains out of it. Because now it was never truth. It was bait. Speak cleanly and release the need to control the response. Fifth, stop trying to melt every woman. That mindset alone makes you weaker. You are not here to become universally seductive. You are here to become unmistakably real. The right woman responds to grounded masculinity because she can feel safety, direction, and depth in it. The wrong woman may be bored by it, threatened by it, confused by it, or simply not aligned with it. Good. Let reality sort itself. You do not need universal appeal. You need alignment. And let me go further because this is where the Stoic part actually matters. Stoicism is not emotional numbness. It is emotional order. It is not pretending not to care. It is caring without becoming a slave to reaction. It is not becoming cold. It is becoming clear. A Stoic man can desire a woman and still think straight. He can hear silence without spiraling. He can hear praise without becoming arrogant. He can hear rejection without becoming bitter. He remains anchored. That is why his words land, because they are not swinging wildly with every wave. You stop exaggerating. You stop performing. You stop chasing. You stop trying to win people over who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop lowering your standards because loneliness starts whispering. You stop confusing attention with compatibility. You stop speaking from emptiness. And when you stop, you start. You start listening for values. You start noticing consistency. You start honoring timing. You start speaking with conviction. You start protecting your peace. You start becoming the kind of man whose affection feels valuable because it is not thrown around recklessly. Now imagine saying those 7 phrases from that place, not as tactics, as extensions of who you are. I'm interested in you, but I don't rush what matters. You don't have to impress me, just be real with me. I like your beauty, but what I'm paying attention to is your character. If it's real, it won't need games. I respect your space, but I also respect my standards. I don't need perfection. I need honesty. I can care about you deeply and still walk away from what disrespects my peace. Those are not just statements. They are filters. They sort out performance from sincerity, fantasy from substance, attraction from alignment. That is what most men never say. Not because the words are hard, because the identity is hard. Any man can memorize a sentence. Very few can carry it without flinching. Very few can say it and accept whatever truth comes back. But that is the whole point. A powerful phrase is not one that guarantees a result. It is one that keeps your dignity intact regardless of the result. And that changes your whole life. Because now dating stops being a marketplace where you sell yourself. It becomes a process where you reveal yourself and observe. You are not begging to be chosen. You are choosing to. You are not performing intimacy. You are testing for truth. You are not trying to melt her so you can feel powerful. You are becoming so honest, so grounded, so internally clean that the right kind of woman can finally relax in your presence. Do this. Speak less, but speak truth. Stop trying to impress and start trying to understand. Stop praising what is obvious and start noticing what is earned. Stop chasing instant chemistry and start building deliberate connection. Stop tolerating confusion and start honoring clarity. Redirect your energy back into your body, your purpose, your discipline, your standards. Because the more your life is anchored, the less you will need any one interaction to save you. And that is when your words stop sounding needy and start sounding rare. Remember this. Women do not melt for lines. They melt for congruence, for emotional steadiness, for a man whose mouth and spine belong to the same person, for a man whose desire does not erase his discernment, for a man whose kindness is not weakness and whose boundaries are not cruelty, for a man who can say, I see you, without losing sight of himself. So if you've been looking for the perfect phrase, good. But understand what you were really looking for. Not language, permission. Permission to stop performing, permission to be clear, permission to have standards, permission to desire without begging, permission to be a man who values connection and still protects his peace. Take that permission now. You do not need more tricks. You do not need more scripts. You do not need to become smoother than you are. You need to become more solid than you've been. That is the difference, because at the end of the day, it is never just about what you say to her. It is about what your words say about you. Are you centered or scattered? Honest or strategic? Grounded or hungry? Whole or negotiating for worth? Every sentence answers that question. Every silence answers it too. And once you understand that, you stop fearing the interaction. You stop grasping for control. You stop trying to make every woman melt. You become the man whose truth has temperature, whose presence has gravity, whose calm has consequence. You become the man who no longer needs to force connection because he knows that anything real will deepen under honesty and anything false will collapse under it. That is not a loss. That is freedom. So speak like a man who has nothing to prove and something real to offer. Speak like a man who respects women enough not to manipulate them and respects himself enough not to chase approval. Speak like a man whose standards are not for display, but for living. Speak like a man who can care deeply and still stand tall when the answer is no. That is the man women remember. That is the man they trust. That is the man whose words do not just sound good for a moment, but linger because they came from somewhere real. And if this hit you the way truth is supposed to hit, subscribe. Not because I need a number, because you need these reminders when the world keeps trying to train you back into performance, confusion, and approval seeking. Stay around voices that sharpen your mind, strengthen your frame, and remind you that self-respect is not optional. You belong here if you are done playing games, done begging for validation, and ready to become the man who realizes finally and fully that you are the answer.